What's up, you guys? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about spicing up your normal blues vocabulary with some more outside jazz or jazz rock fusion types of sounds. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to show you guys a normal blues progression, a normal 12-bar blues, which you can see right here on this chart. And I'm going to be doing it over, it's just going to be over C, just so it's a bit easier to explain the ways that you can use these different scales. Now, I'm going to give you guys a list of different scales that you can apply over any of the different dominant chords, and then I'm going to give you a smaller list of scales and approaches that you can use over resolving dominant chords. And not even just resolving dominant chords, but chords that you want to make sound like they're resolving. You want to imply that they're resolved. Okay, so to begin with, I'm just going to mention right at the top of my head the couple of the most normal scales that you can apply, which you guys probably already know. So you have the minor pentatonic scale, which is 1 flat 3 4 5 flat 7. You have your blues scale, which is 1 flat 3 4 flat 5 5 flat 7. It's pretty much just the minor pentatonic scale with an added flat 5 to it. You have your major pentatonic scale, which is 1 2 3 5 6, and you have your major blues pentatonic scale, which is 1 2 flat 3. So you add a flat 3 to the major pentatonic. Then you have a natural third, 5, and a 6. Now I'm just going to mention these because they're very, very common and they don't make you sound all that much outside. Now, as far as another scale that you could play over the dominant chords, that really doesn't make you sound that outside, but it adds more of a different sound to your vocabulary, is the Mixolydian scale. Now, the Mixolydian scale is just the 5th mode of the major scale, and it has an intervallic construction of 1 2 3 4 5 6 and flat 7, and it sounds something like this. Now that I'm done with some of the most normal and common types of scales, I'm going to go into the actual outside sounding scales. Now, the first one of those scales is the Lydian dominant scale, which is actually the 4th scale degree, or the 4th mode of the melodic minor scale. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more about this scale, you can go into this link right here and view a video that I did just alone on that scale. Now, this scale has an intervallic construction of 1 2 3 sharp 4 5 6 and flat 7, and it sounds something like this. Alright, the next scale is the Mixolydian flat 6 scale, and it's another one of the modes of the melodic minor scale. It's actually the 5th mode of the melodic minor scale, and it has an intervallic construction of 1 2 3 4 5 flat 6 and flat 7. So you can almost look at it as a Mixolydian scale with a flatted 6 in it. Now, that scale sounds like this. the next scale I'm going to cover is actually Mixolydian flat 2. And this is the fifth mode of the harmonic major scale. This is a scale that is hardly ever used. I haven't seen a whole lot of people using it, even though it's starting to pop up here and there within fusion and jazz circles. Now, Mixolydian flat 2 has the 1, flat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and flat 7. And it sounds something like this. The next scale in line is the Phrygian dominant scale, and this is the fifth mode of the harmonic minor scale. It has an intervallic construction of 1, flat 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and flat 7, and this scale can actually be heard a lot in Yngwie Malmsteen's playing. Now, the Phrygian dominant scale is actually also known as Mixolydian flat 2 and flat 6, or flat 9, flat 13. So you could almost say like it's like a mix of Mixolydian flat 2, which we already covered, and Mixolydian flat 6, which we already covered as well. Now I'm actually refining this scale, and I'm really liking the application of this scale over a blues. I think it sounds a little interesting. So here we go. This is the way it sounds. Now the last scale I'm going to mention in this section, even though there's just a ton of more dominant scales that you could play, is the whole tone scale. Now the whole tone scale is what's known as a symmetrical scale, and if you want to know a little bit more about the whole tone scale, you can find a whole video just explaining the way the whole tone scale sounds. You can find it right up here. Now the whole tone scale is just a series of whole steps, like the name suggests, and the intervallic construction of those whole steps is 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, sharp 5, and flat 7. And it sounds something like this. Now let's get into the more resolving dominant scales. Now the first one I'm going to talk about is the altered scale. Now as you can see within this chart, I'm only using the altered scale over here at the last measure of the first line. And why am I using it here even if it's just a tonic chord? Because I want to make that tonic chord sound like a 5 chord to the 4 chord. I'm almost treating it like it's a 5 of 4. I am also using this scale over the first G7 and the first measure of the last line, and I'm using it because it's the 5 chord, even though it's not really resolving because next you have a 4 chord, but it still works. It still sounds good. And then I'm using it again on the last G7 or the 5/7 or of the progression, which in terms goes it's working as a 5/1. Going back to the root chord at the beginning of the progression. Now the altered scale is almost like a dominant chord with all the different possible altered accidentals. So you would have a flat 9, a sharp 9, you would also get a flat 5 and a sharp 5. So the intervallic construction of the altered scale is 1, flat 9, sharp 9, or flat 2, sharp 2, however you want to see it, 3, flat 5, sharp 5, and flat 7. And that actually sounds like this. Now the next scale I'm going to be talking about is actually just the plain old minor pentatonic scale. It's just I'm going to use it in a different way. I'm going to use the minor pentatonic scale up a flat third from the dominant chord, from the resolving dominant chord. And it's going to give it almost like an altered sound. Now an important thing to note about this scale, about using this minor pentatonic superimposition, I guess you could call, is that it doesn't have many chord tones, so you have to be careful about where you use it. And you should more than likely try to use it to somewhere in a small degree, in a place where it's just it's moving and trying to resolve to a place. That's why I've put this type of use of the minor pentatonic scale over a resolving dominant chord. Like if we look at the intervallic relationship between this minor pentatonic scale and the chord, we would have a sharp 9, we would have a flat 5, a sharp 5, a flat 7, and a flat 9. That's if we look at it exactly from the starting point of the flat third. In this case, it would be E flat. So if we look at it from E flat against the C7 chord, it would have that construction. Okay, so what I'm gonna do to make the scale sound like it's resolving, because it has no real chord tones except for that flat 7, I'm gonna play the scale. I'm just gonna showcase the scale over the chord like I've done with all the different scales. And then I'm gonna improv a little bit over the scale. And then once I'm done with the improv, I'm just gonna resolve the line to the root note of the chord, which is C. Okay, so here we go. So as you can tell, it's a bit of an outside sound. Sounds very outside, but it's because of the reason that I mentioned. It has a flat 9, a sharp 9, a flat 5, a sharp 5, and a flat 7. So it's very stringent. It's it doesn't go down smoothly with the chord, but it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It creates tension that you eventually resolve down to the roots. All right, so I just want to mention that I don't use all of these scales at the beginning of the video, but I do most of them in different takes. I did do some different performances, and then I just chose one of them. But I'm gonna upload at least 3 of those different performances on my Instagram account, which you can find right here. You can also find a bunch of different clips, like me playing live, some bloopers and behind the scene kind of stuff from when I'm recording these videos. And you can also keep up to date with what I do on a normal day-to-day basis if you look at my Instagram stories. You can also follow me on Facebook, on my official Facebook account. You can also follow me on Twitter, and you can follow me on my official website, juanantoniomusic.com. All right, thanks for watching.